Let me tell you guys something funny. For years, Mortal Kombat fans wanted a fresh start. We wanted a new timeline, something that wasn't, time traveling BS from MK11. We wanted new character dynamics. We wanted to see basically our familiar faces, our familiar characters in completely different situations. That wasn't the norm. And when MK1 was announced, it looked like we were finally getting exactly that. Liu Kang had the chance to create a brand new era. The timeline was reset. The future was wide open. And for the first time in years, it felt like Mortal Kombat could honestly go anywhere. And then they just straight up ruined it, because instead of committing to this new universe, Mortal Kombat immediately fell into the same trap that every major franchise seems obsessed with nowadays: the multiverse. And honestly, what do you guys think of the multiverse? I think introducing the multiverse into Mortal Kombat was one of the worst story decisions the franchise has ever made. Not because it's confusing, not because it's hard to understand, but because it completely destroys the stakes, the characters, and the future of Liu Kang's timeline. So today, let's talk about why Mortal Kombat ruined its own story. And this is more in depth because I made previous videos on this in the past, but this one I just want to go straight hard on because I really hate this multiverse concept. And I'm Mr. Frosty Flames. If you guys don't know me by now, I do gaming news, reviews, playthroughs, analysis, and we do it in a chill way with no over editing BS. So if you enjoy that style of content, be sure to hit that sub button and join the Mr. Frosty Flames Legion. Anyways, let's get back to the video. So just think about it. Everyone is doing the multiverse. I swear, you can't escape multiverse stories anymore. Marvel does it, DC does it, movies do it, TV shows do it. Everybody wants infinite versions of the same characters. Your grandma probably has hidden multiverse stories that she hasn't told you about, because at first it was cool. The idea of alternate realities is interesting. Like, oh, there's a version of me from a different universe, Earth times 1,000, Earth times 10, Earth times 100, whatever. But now it's everywhere. And the more franchise use it, the less special it becomes. Because at this point, the multiverse feels like the storytelling equivalent of putting pineapple on pizza. Everywhere you look, somebody's trying it, whether it belongs there or not. And this is why it works for, say, Marvel and DC, because before people start typing, angry comments, let's be fair, the multiverse actually works for Marvel and DC because those franchises were built around it. Comic books have been doing alternate universes for decades, different Spider-Man, different Batman, different Superman, different timelines, different worlds, and that's part of their identity. And when Marvel introduces another universe, it doesn't feel completely out of place. It's something fans already sort of expect. The multiverse is baked into the DNA of those franchises, those superhero franchises, but Mortal Kombat, probably not so much. You see, Mortal Kombat never really needed a multiverse. When people fell in love with Mortal Kombat, they weren't falling in love with infinite timelines and infinite endings. They were falling in love with a world: Earthrealm, Outworld, Netherrealm, Edenia. Even the characters like Scorpion and Sub-Zero, they mattered because they were only one version of them. When something happened to them, it mattered. When somebody died, it sort of mattered. When somebody betrayed another character, it mattered. The story felt grounded within its own universe. The moment you introduce infinite timelines, that starts disappearing. And in my opinion, the most frustrating part about it is that Liu Kang's new era was actually interesting. The setup was genuinely good. Seriously, Reptile finally getting respect, he's a main character in the story mode. Melina becoming heir to the throne. A completely different Sub-Zero and Scorpion dynamic. You have new political tensions in Outworld. You have new relationships, new possibilities. And for the first time in years, Mortal Kombat wasn't relying entirely on nostalgia. It actually felt like it was building towards something new, and I was excited, and I could tell you a lot of fans were excited because we wanted to see where this timeline went, not somebody else's timeline, this one. And when I mean by this one, I mean Liu Kang's timeline. And when the story throws it all away is when Titan Shang Tsung shows up, and then everything suddenly becomes timelines invading timelines, titans fighting titans, variants fighting variants, and the story loses focus completely. Like, it was just, kind of dumb. I don't know how they looked at some of these characters and were like, yeah, that's cool, that should be in the Mortal Kombat lore. Like seeing like a hybrid between Quan Chi and Raiden in like the Armageddon final battle in MK1. It's just like, what? And then seeing like Janet Cage and things like that, I'm like, where's Johnny? I know that's just my opinion, but like, it just sucks seeing like these like random characters like Nightwolf, that's a different version. You seeing the combat kids come back when they shouldn't really be there. I mean, it just doesn't really really make sense. And the game spends hours introducing a brand new universe and then immediately tells you not to get attached to it because apparently there are a billion other universes too. And that's the problem. Instead of making Liu Kang's timeline feel important, the game makes it feel disposable. And this is where my biggest issue comes in, and that's stakes, because what happens when there are infinite timelines? Nothing matters. A character dies, well, another version exists. A villain loses, well, another version exists. A realm gets destroyed and everyone dies, well, another version exists. And even when a conflict ends, there's probably gonna be another version of that conflict existing somewhere. The moment you create infinite backups for everything, consequences start feeling meaningless. And Mortal Kombat used to thrive on consequences. The Deadly Alliance winning mattered. You know, Liu Kang died because of the Deadly Alliance, and that was a big story arc for the 3D era. Onaga returning mattered. Shao Kahn invading Earthrealm, that mattered. And now everything feels temporary because characters stop feeling special too. Because remember when there was one Scorpion, one Sub-Zero, one Shang Tsung? Those characters felt iconic because they were unique. And now we have timeline variants like I talked about, you know, Titan variants, alternate versions, evil versions, good versions. At some point it just becomes exhausting and it just doesn't make sense because the more versions you create, the less special one becomes. It's like making a photocopy of a photocopy. Eventually the original loses value, and the pyramid is where it all fell apart. I'm not gonna lie, at the end of MK1, that pyramid sequence, the Armageddon battle, is where the story completely lost me. On paper it's supposed to be epic, you know, a new battle of Armageddon, dozens of versions of familiar characters all fighting at once. It sounds cool, but on paper when we actually get it, it feels like visual noise. Instead of focusing on the characters we'd spent the entire game with, the story becomes a giant multiverse spectacle. And honestly, I didn't care one bit from like that chapter and on, because really, like, I didn't spend the game getting invested with Titan Ashra or Prince God Titan Rain or Titan Reiko that's good, man. I didn't care about any of those characters because those weren't the characters that I spent the entire game, you know, learning about and getting invested in. They were just alternate versions that just showed up in the last battle. And that's the problem. That spectacle replaced the storytelling. Everything went so fast, and it's like the actual end chapter didn't have any meaningful dialogue. It was just like Liu Kang was like, hey Katana, come here, follow the steps here, fight this guy. And yeah, it looked cool, the fight scenes were cool, but man, like, I wanted actual storytelling in my story mode, not just a giant spectacle. And this is what Mortal Kombat should have done. Imagine a different version of MK1 with no multiverse, no timeline war, no Titan army, just Liu Kang crafting his new era. You could build Havoc, you could build Reiko, build the Outworld politics, build the Lin Kuei conflict, build the rivalry between Scorpion and Sub-Zero all from scratch. You could build towards Onaga or build towards something meaningful. Instead of introducing infinite universes, focus on making one universe great. That's all they had to do for the story mode. And because of that, I think the damage is already done. And this is why I think the multiverse was such a mistake, because now it's gonna be always a part of the Mortal Kombat story. It's not going away. You can't erase it unless they just do like a hard retcon, or they just do a hard reboot. Future stories will have to acknowledge it. Future threats will have to compete with it. Future villains have to somehow feel bigger than timeline ending titans. And that's a dangerous position to put your franchise in, because once you go cosmic, it's incredibly hard to scale things back down to just street level fights like what Mortal Kombat is. And the biggest problem with Mortal Kombat's multiverse isn't that it's confusing. The biggest problem is that it's distracted Mortal Kombat from the thing it desperately needed, a fresh start. Liu Kang's timeline was supposed to be the future of the franchise. It was supposed to be a chance to rebuild, a chance to create new rivalries, new villains, new stories. Instead, Mortal Kombat immediately got distracted by infinite timelines and alternate versions of characters that we've already seen. And honestly, I think that's the biggest storytelling mistake this franchise has ever made, because Mortal Kombat didn't need a multiverse, it needed confidence in its own world. And unfortunately, I think it lost that. And I don't know if Mortal Kombat 13 could ever fix that, but that's just my thoughts on it. Let me know what you guys think down below. How would you fix this multiverse problem? Because because everyone that I asked, about 90% of people don't like the multiverse story. So I'm gonna ask you guys, what would you do to fix it? Is the damage too far from fixing? For me, I would probably say maybe make Onaga sort of like a timeline ender or something, like a Galactus of the Mortal Kombat universe, where he just like eats up different timelines, and he goes on a rampage and just erases timelines up until there's like a few left, or maybe just Liu Kang's timeline left, to just really focus on Liu Kang's timeline. Then you could build towards taking down Onaga. That's just what I think on maybe like a surface level. I know it doesn't make sense, but I'll do anything to just get rid of this timeline nonsense. But that's just my take. Like I said, let me know what you guys think down below. Thank you all for watching. Mr. Frosty Flames out. Ciao.